Instagram hashtag Kangaroos podcast. Tonight, I welcome back Siobhan Rowe to the show. Siobhan, first time I've had you on after a win for a while. I think it must have been probably 12 months or something like that. It must be exciting for you.
This is awesome, Dean. What a great feeling to be back on with you after a win and a good win at that. I think the last quarter's kind of blacked out in my mind. I'm not really thinking about that too much, but
I've forgotten about it.
the second and third quarters is probably some of the best footy that I've seen this group play since the Collingwood game last year, when we kind of looked unstoppable and had this momentum and wave and confidence that I haven't seen in a really long time. And it's just really awesome to see them get reward. The Freo game, they got so close, and you just thought there has to be a win round the corner just to kind of reward the group for all the hard work they've done. And what a reward it was. It was a fantastic victory, and I think they should be taking confidence into the game against on the weekend against Hawthorn. And like Clarko mentioned, Dean, it is another sort of litmus test. I mean, we all remember the horror show that was the final round of last year, and it's another measuring stick to see where this group's at. And they're playing with confidence, and all of our young players in particular are on fire, and there's a real team defensive buy-in that's now the standard for this group. And I think the most pleasing thing for me on the weekend was it was Shinbona tough. That's what I walked away thinking, and it's been a while since I've said that on this podcast and said it to myself, that I think this group is playing Shinbona tough footy, and it came from Jai Simpkin, the captain, which I was so impressed to see. Considering I thought he probably lacked a little bit of that against Freo the week before. And it's rubbing off. This is an infectious sort of time for the club. So just happy to be on and talking footy with you after a win, Dean. It's much deserved for you in particular, who you show up every week to do the podcast, and we don't get much reward. So it's nice to be positive and have a purple patch going on for us at the moment.
No, definitely. There's a lot of labels. We've been called unsociable. We've been called bullies by even opposition coaches. And the last 9 quarters, and what a difference that has made. How do you rate that win last week? Is it probably Clarkson's best win under his reign, considering going 2 months ago, we talked about Good Friday. But, even before that, I'm trying to remember the last time we had an impressive turnaround and win like this.
Yeah, I'd probably say it's one of the best wins in the rebuild, more so just because of the stark. It's a 92-point turnaround or 93-point turnaround from when we played Carlton. And it's just a stark difference in a team that has a bit of confidence and it's a side that doesn't. And I thought it was also a really interesting coaching sort of masterclass from Clarko as well. Because we discussed last week, Dean, on the podcast about how the midfield was bullied. Against the Blues, and we did the bullying. It was a complete role reversal, and I think the thing is, we touched on this a bit last week too, but it's great to have flexibility in your game, but I think now that we've got players playing confidently in positions and they're getting settled, it's making a huge difference, and I think the rewards of that are paying off. Like you saw McKercher, who was elite, outstanding, and he was able to kick those 2 goals that really sparked the group. And then you saw, I thought Dylan Stevens was probably the underrated player of the day. His ability to not allow Bailey Scott into the side, which still astounds me. And we're more than halfway through the year, but his sort of efforts, and Sheasel is back, and he looks so good as a half forward, doesn't he? And there's just a lot of pieces of the puzzle that seem to be coming together now. And I look, even in the game against West Coast, I was really doubting Clarkson and where we were going, but it's been a really stark turnaround. And the thing is, I'm trying not to get too carried away, because I know with rebuilds and young groups, it ebbs and flows, but we just seem to be riding a really cool wave of momentum at the moment. And it's paying off. All of our patience is paying off with allowing some flexibility in the players. But yeah, the midfield group in particular was the most impressive for me, and I think Clarkson probably would have put on them to say last time we played Carlton it was embarrassing, and it's time to turn that around, and that was led by Powell as well. I thought that was his best game of the season by a mile, and that it looked like boys against men, and it was this time it was us that looked like the men out there. It was just really impressive from all of them, and it was even, and Luke Parker's influence, I talk about him every week, but that's not to be undersold as well. I thought his job on Cripps was really influential as well. And his heavy hits probably were part of the reason why everyone around him just walks taller, considering what he does out there too. So, I thought it's been a really important moment in our rebuild this game. And we'll see what it leads to. But I'm just really grateful that we got away with the 4 points in the end. And there's a lot of that game that needs to be taken through to the rest of the year. The high number of tackles and pressure, that should never drop away. That's a matter of effort rather than anything else. And that was there again on full display. Carlton were spooked. And it's nice to have the shoe on the other foot for once in a while too.
I mean, we talked about Parker last week, and we talked about his role in the previous 2 weeks to that. Like, he wasn't getting in the CBAs till the second half, not playing midfield, he was playing as a half forward. But last week was a statement game, and the first bounce, he's right in the centre square. 28 possessions, 8 tackles, 8 clearances. Tom Powell, you mentioned it was his best game of the season. I would go as far as to say it's probably his best game of his career. Career high, 34 touches. Something like 8 clearances as well. It's almost a sign of maturity with him, because I think with Tom Powell, with previously, and where I've been a little bit critical of him, and he's been a bit up and down, is that he has been struggling. He's struggled against teams that have the bigger bodies in the midfield. He's been pushed over a bit too easy in contests, but I thought it was a real sign of maturity and a real sign of growth by him, and hopefully we can get that consistency going forward. He's going to have another big challenge against the Hawthorn midfield this week. John Newcomb, a very good, tough in and under player. No Will Day, so that's good to hear. But what did you think that that was? Is a similar thinking with Tom Powell, that was a sign of his maturity and his growth?
It's a great point, Dean, and I think the two players that you just spoke about there are inextricably linked. I think Powell's growing because of Parker. And I think that those two are very similar sorts of players. And what I loved about Tom Powell's game is that he backed himself in. I think sometimes he kind of, how do I put it? His hands are great. And I think he once he's on. Like, he can go through the whole game and really light it up. And I thought he grew as the game went on. And someone like Luke Parker gives people the confidence to go out there and strut their stuff, because they know he's there and he's going to back them in. So I just don't. I didn't think he would have this much of an influence on the group, but I really think some of these players needed that senior body in there. I know we had Simpkin and he continues to play that role really well, but I just think Luke Parker's getting the best out of all these kids and allowing them to do what they need to do, because he's it's almost as if, he is allowing these players to play their role and being the foil for them, which is, it's just great to watch, really good to watch. And the midfield's in good shape, Dean. We knew this, but I think their work offensively probably couldn't be questioned, but the defensive work of our midfield is what's been really impressive since the turnaround from Good Friday. I started to get concerned that we had drafted players that only ran one way, but they're starting to prove me wrong now, which is a really good thing. And it's just a matter of them continuing to do that. And I think that's why our defense looks a lot better, is because the team defense, especially the defense from the midfielders, has improved out of sight.
And a big part of that midfield, and the guy that we only found out about half an hour ago, has signed a contract extension till 2031. I think you told me via text, and probably got a little bit of a pay rise. He was already contracted till 2029, which is 4 years away. And so they've obviously given him a pay rise and given him a 6 years effectively from now on. But I even thought, probably the first half of the year, I felt like our midfield was getting carried a bit by him and his service, what Tristan Sherry was doing. And last week, his first half, he wasn't as dominant, which was a good sign. I thought it was a real sign of maturity by LDU, Parker, Powell, whoever else is going through there as well. So, but, Tristan Sherry is a very important part of our future, isn't he?
He's a warrior, Dean. He's a shin boner. That's what he is. And awesome to see him get rewarded with a few more years on that deal. And that probably makes him a shin boner for life as well. And don't forget, only a few years ago, St Kilda were ready to pry him away, and he stuck fat, and he's been a North supporter his whole life, and he stuck with us, and I'm so grateful he has, but he should be ending his career now. Clearly a best and fairest winner, which is his just desserts this year with us if he keeps his form up. He should be an All-Australian ruckman, and his impact on the midfield and our team overall is enormous. And what I loved about Big X on the weekend was that you had Carlton bringing in Pitnet, I think, which was a testament to him and his skill anyway, that they needed two ruckmen. But he was really physical. He always has been. But I think he would have been disappointed having his colours lowered, and I think he took that personally. And they went after him in a way that I haven't seen before. And Carlton just got everything wrong on the day, really, except for the last quarter. And it looked like they got it wrong by going after him, and Hewitt giving away that free kick, which resulted in him kicking the goal. And basically the game was beyond their grasp from then. It just says how he's looked in the competition as probably the figurehead almost of this group. And my dad turned to me and goes, he probably should be captain of your football club, just due to the impact that he has. He's tough, he's hard, he's skillful. He's just a great footballer, and we're very lucky to have him, and have him till 2031, more than likely a shin boner for life, which is awesome.
Well, I was almost like when St Kilda offered that third rounder, I thought, I'd probably get rid of him for that. So, it shows how much I know. So, thank God he ended up staying in the club.
It's crazy to think that we all had that sort of thought line only a few years ago, Dean. And I was the same. I was thinking Goldie going is probably the worst thing that could happen to this group. And then Tristan Cherry said, "Hold my beer." It was amazing how quickly he came on. And I'm assuming a lot of it has to do with Goldie and the way that he kind of impacted him. But God, he's a good footballer. He's an absolute incredible footballer.
Yeah, I never had doubt in Brady Rawlings. Always knows what he's doing. You kept him on board. So, full credit to Brady Rawlings there, the greatest list manager in the competition. Now, any concerns with the last quarter? Now, we fell away another 2 or 3 more minutes. So I think we're in a bit of trouble there, Siobhan. But, look, I mean, there was a lot of junk time goals as well. I think they kicked 3 goals in the last 3 minutes of the game to get it within striking distance. But I mean, looking at the statistics, I read Ricky's article the other day, and he said we've only had 23 games in the last decade where we have led at 3/4 time, and 9 of them by 3+ goals. So hopefully that can be a bit better than, and that will be, that'll get a bit of a better record over the next few weeks and next few years. But I think it's just a case of we don't know how to play in situations like that where we're 46 points up and comprehensively beating a team.
I listened to the pod with Mark, and I listened to that stat, and I couldn't believe it. It's actually shocking, and probably shows how much suffering we've been through as a supporter group, unfortunately. But look, I came on here, I promised to be positive, but you can't help but be a little bit concerned about that last quarter. And any other side, you'd probably say the game's beyond grasp, but we had to sit through the Collingwood game last year. So even if we were 25 goals up at 3/4 time, I still would never feel comfortable. And I think it was very clear that this group still has a very long way to go, and they've certainly got a long way to go when it comes to building a winning culture. I still think the group struggled to know how to win, and even though they got over the line, I do agree that a few more minutes in that game, I think it would have been curtains, which we won, and that's the really important part, but I think there should be a big focus in why we went so conservative and really just got the deer in headlights sort of in the last quarter. We couldn't get our hands on the ball. We didn't have a scoring shot, and the Blues just looked like they had flicked a switch and ran rampant. So I think there is a lot of work to do with the group in playing 4 quarters as well. I thought the first quarter was okay, but I think if Carlton had kicked straight, we probably would have been in a different situation when it came to the second quarter, and maybe the game wouldn't have gone the way that it did. As much as I think we looked really good throughout the second and third quarters, Carlton's style of play was very bizarre. They kind of were kicking sideways and not attacking, and
Yeah, a lot of backwards kicks as well, wasn't it?
yeah,
Yeah.
very strange. And that's probably credit to the way we set up and the perceived pressure almost that the Blues had throughout the game, considering how well we kind of we attacked them. But yeah, I do think there needs to be some work done on playing 4 quarters, and also in the way that we close out games. And you're right. I think we've learned to win in multiple ways this year, which is really exciting for the group. Like the West Coast game looked dead and gone, and then we managed to come back in the last quarter. But then, yeah, getting yourself again, West Coast sort of inability to convert, and I think Carlton's inability to convert in the first quarter were a little bit danger signs. And let's just hope this week and against Hawthorn, we start well and we don't continue the form of the last quarter against the Blues. So, yeah, there's still a lot of work to do with the group. I don't think we're the finished product, far from it. But we won, and that's important. It's just working on how to win and win well is going to be the next step, I think.
No, yeah, fair enough. One player in the back line that seems to be getting a lot of plaudits and is very popular in the media and socials right now, that's Toby Pink. It's a great story for a man that was doing a carpentry apprenticeship only 18 months ago, playing for Glenelg. I mean, he's 27 now, but they're already talking about a contract extension and getting a good pay rise, which is fair enough.
Incredible. It's quite funny on the way to the game. I said, I think if Charlie Curnow plays, our chances of winning diminish significantly. And to Toby Pink,
Yeah,
amazing.
The blanket, yeah.
His last few weeks, no one can score a goal on him, Dean. No. It is one of the best stories, not only for our club, but in the AFL, for a player that I also probably couldn't in my wildest dreams imagine that he would be in the side at this stage of the year, let alone the most important key defender that we have. He's playing out of his skin, and I think Curnow had a down day, but all credit goes to Toby Pink and the way that he played on him. And he's playing with confidence, and he's the 1%er king, which is what I love about him, in that he is big on his spoils and all those sorts of things, and it's nice to watch. He gives his heart and soul every week, and he's a shin boner, another one. And I don't want to keep harping on the word, but it feels like that spirit sort of back in the group. He's been incredible, and I think that Fox were mentioning a couple of nights ago that we're looking at a new deal for him, and hopefully that one goes through and that he gets a well-deserved pay rise. And nice to see him get so much credit as well, because Charlie Curnow was probably the key to Carlton winning the game. Yes, he didn't have the best supply, and credit goes to the midfield for that, but he played him like an absolute glove, and it was great to watch. And Oscar Allen's no slouch either, and Tracy and Lynch, and he's been excellent, absolutely excellent, and hopefully he can continue that form, because we've been crying out for a sort of a lockdown defender, and maybe he can fill that role for us. So good on him for all the effort that he's put in, and never giving up really on his dream of playing AFL again after he got delisted by the Swans.
Seems like a really ripping bloke too. Very very popular amongst his teammates, and he's there was a article in him in the Herald Sun with him and his wife, and his wife talks him up pretty well. He does a lot of things around the house, so good on him for that. Were you going to say something?
Jack of all trades.
Yeah. He's doing pretty well in life. He's winning at the moment, so in the words of Charlie Sheen. One player I want to talk to you about, now, he got a lot of help last week, and one player that did help him out was Charlie Comben.
Yeah.
Now, we'll mention him soon because he's out of the team this week injured. What do you think about playing someone like that was clearly hampered? He was wearing a long sleeve jumper, wearing some sort of shoulder protection. Clearly what was not even close to 100%. How do you feel about playing someone like that? I don't think it's worth the risk, because they say, he can't do any more damage, but I find that hard to believe. Like, surely he can get more damage, but I'm no medical expert. But I don't understand it. I don't think it's worth the risk sometimes to play these players. I know it's very courageous, but it's also very negligent by the club to allow them to play a little bit.
I also think it's certainly not worth the risk when it comes to Charlie Comben, who seems to have broken every bone in his body. So, look, the fact I'm not a medical expert and I'm also not in the four walls of the club, but from the outside looking in, it doesn't look good. Also, considering now he's not playing this week, he just didn't look right. And I was, it looked like he was almost playing with like the equivalent of a limp, but on the upper body. It was very strange to. I don't think he was playing at his best, and I think with a player of his importance and also with his history, I think it was probably the wrong decision to play him. We got the result, and he played his role, but I'd be very careful going forward. And he's not playing this week, which I think is actually a good thing. It's probably not the ideal situation to risk him again. Look, he's an important cog in the team going forward, and you don't want to cause. I reckon that he could easily have damaged that more. It looked like he was clearly strapped up like a mummy underneath the jumper as well. So, interesting decision to play him. And I think it's a positive thing that he's not playing this week, just in terms of his long-term sort of future and career at the club. And I'm excited to see Will Dawson. We'll get to that a little bit later, I'm sure. But we do have options. It wasn't as if he was kind of your last option. But I am happy he played, and he played in a win as well. So that's a good thing.
No, definitely. Look, he played a big contribution to the team. I just hate seeing players in pain every time they go up for a contest. Whenever he runs, he looks like he's in a lot of pain as well. So, but no, you just got to back the club in at the end of the day that they're doing what's in the best interest of him. But we've seen a lot of things happen in the past too, where players played injured and gotten a lot worse injuries. So we'll move forward. And the last time we played the Hawks was round 24 last season in a forgettable game where we lost by 124 points and put the queue in the rack very early. Wherever they went, Las Vegas or something like that, they pretty much might as well left at half time because they didn't show up in the second half. Simpkin with 25 possessions of 3 goals. Probably our best. Tristan Sherry also had 25 possessions with 13 clearances. Only decent contributors for the game. A forgettable performance. Also, Launceston that game as well. So it's fair to say we want to prove a point, don't we?
Let's just say, Dean, if it's a repeat of that game, I think a lot of supporters won't exactly be smiling. They'll be on the blower from 3AW on the talkback, I'm sure. So, look, I think we're a very different side to what was out on the park that fateful day. And I also think Hawthorn are a very different side. I saw there was no James Sicily, and I got a smile across my face when I saw that, because for whatever reason, even back when he was a young fella in 2016, he used to tear us apart. So there's I think there are two very different sides walking out there. And I think that the boys will want to prove a point from that disappointing day as well. So, interesting matchups across the field. If you want my honest opinion out of the way early, I don't think that we're quite good enough to beat the Hawks, especially down in Launceston. But I do expect a very different result to what we saw that day. They've obviously got the inclusions of Barras and Josh Battle as well. I think it's going to be a really important game for Nick Larkey. I thought he was okay on the weekend. We haven't asked a lot of him this year, Dean. Our forward line seems to be functioning really well with Paul Curtis and Darling and Zerha, who's having an underrated good year. But I think on the weekend we need a lift out of Larkey if we're going to get close to them, and we need Jack Darling to play his role on more than likely one of Barras and Battle, who seem to kind of dominate in the air quite a lot. And I think in the midfield battle, it will be a really interesting one too, with Newcomb and Will Day's not playing, which is a positive because he's quite a good player. But
Nash, he's not bad.
Their dangerous smalls are going to be a real challenge for some of our defenders as well. So we'll need team defense like we've shown the last few weeks if we're going to be any chance in this game.
No, that's exactly right. Now, I'll check the Launceston weather at a top of 14 with 40% chance of rain. Light winds, 10 kilometres an hour, so that shouldn't play a factor. So our last win against the Hawks, Siobhan, was round 9, 2021 by 7 points under David Noble in his first year. First win for him as a coach, I believe, as well. On that day, Simpkin, 38 touches, 14 clearances. Cunnington, 37 touches, 13 clearances. Aaron Hall, 28 touches, 600 metres plus gained. Cameron Zurhaar, 4 goals. Taylor Garner, 3 goals. A few players that we've probably forgotten that played that game. Connor Menadue, Tom Campbell, Jack Marnie, Lockie Young. So, yeah, it's a bit of a different team this week. So, yeah, I mean, it might be a case of, getting back at them this week and getting another win in Launceston after a disappointing trouncing last year, Sharon. You never know.
You never know, Dean, and that's the thing. And I think our last month and a half of footy has indicated to me and hopefully you and a lot of the supporters out there that our best footy when we show up and we're able to execute the game plan, maybe not for 4 quarters, but when we're able to execute it, I think the boys can get their tails up and they can score quick, and they look really good. And there is some faith that I think is being built and some trust, which we haven't had in a really long time with this group, that we won't fall back to our old ways and we're able to compete. I think with a side like Hawthorn that I would imagine would be at the pointy end of the year, I think compete's probably the strong word here, that that they'll play their role. I think where we can get a hold of them is the midfield, and that's clearly the strength in our team. But I'm not shaking in my boots by Lloyd Meek and Newcomb and Ward and Nash and Moore. And look, this will probably come back and bite me in the arse. We'll play this on replay next week. But their midfield doesn't scare me as much as some of the other sort of top echelon sorts of clubs. And if we manage to force a draw against Brisbane, and they probably have one of the best midfields in the comp, so if the boys can replicate what they did against the Blues, then they're absolutely a chance to limit the supply into the likes of Watson and Ginnivan and Chol, who I think have been very good all year. Look, it's a really interesting game because you never know. And like I said, I do trust that now things are looking up for us, and Hawthorn haven't been in the best of form. They've been a little bit up and down, and if we can catch them on a bad day, you never know. And I think Clarkson may, whether or not he still has any inside information or knows how to kind of match up on them and knows how Mitchell will coach them, I think it's over to him to maybe have another real dip at the coaching sort of stakes in this game too. So it makes for a good contest.
No, definitely. Who does Toby Pink keep goals this week? Is it Chol or Gunston? They'll both be having sleepless nights right now, wouldn't they?
Absolutely, they will be, Dean. Absolutely. Personally, I think he probably goes to Chol. Just the matchup makes a bit of sense for me. In terms of the, I think maybe Gunston might have him for sort of athleticism. I reckon another player who we have barely mentioned that I think deserves a real pat on the back is Luke McDonald. Again, an absolutely outstanding performance from him, and maybe not having the captaincy and being able to just focus on his game and leading the back line in many ways down there has been a really good thing for him. And I thought again on the weekend he was crucial with some of his spoils and 1%ers again that I think he's brought back into his game. And yes, sometimes his opponent beats him and he's unable to run with them or whatever it might be. But I thought on the weekend his leadership and his performance was outstanding. I think he'll probably get Gunston on the weekend.
Now, look, possibly. It's because they've got a very small forward line. They've got the Ginnivan, Sam Butler, Dylan Moore, Nick Watson. It's pretty small. So, I mean, you probably have to get go on one of them. Even Griffin Logue. If Hardwick goes forward, if he plays forward, then he might play on him. So, a few mismatches there, but you probably trust the system and trust the players that we'll be able to stop them. Because last few weeks we're probably worried about the small forwards from opposition teams, but we seem to be doing a number on them at the moment. So maybe we work something out. McKercher going back there has really given us drive. I think you mentioned that earlier. He is prone to the odd turnover, but you wouldn't be a North Melbourne player if you didn't turn it over. So, Caleb Daniel has probably found some form too with Caleb Daniel with Colin McKercher going back there as well. So, I mean, the back line seems to be working it out. And I think one area we can really get on top of them is the midfield, like you sort of mentioned earlier. You sort of said they don't really scare you. Players like Ward, Connor Nash. I mean, they're good, solid, honest footballers, but they missed the class of Will Day. I know they were lucky to beat Adelaide Crows a couple of weeks ago. Let's be honest, but if we get on top of the midfield, give first use to those forwards. We've got some good forwards up there who are in good form. Cameron Zurhau's in career best form. Paul Curtis, we know how good he is, and if Nick Larkey can find a little bit of form and kick 3 or 4.
Yeah.
I mean, you get off to a good start, put a bit of scoreboard pressure on them. We're certainly a really good chance, and we go against them without any fear. That's the most important thing. I think we can go out there and if we can play a game, I think we're a real big chance here, Siobhan.
I think so too, Dean, and I think, how do I put this in a nice way? I think this group, when there's expectation, they can't quite meet it. I think that's why we saw probably two of the worst games that we've had since that purple patch from Good Friday onwards. The two games that probably have disappointed me the most have been the game against Richmond and the game against West Coast. And they're the two games I think that we were expected to win. And I know no games are given, but I think the group internally would have thought, yes, they're two games we should be winning. So I think the exciting part of the back end of the year, there are a few games there where it's almost a free kick. It's a roll of the dice. No one expects us to go out and beat Hawthorn, but I think when they get their tails up, I think we've seen, and I think it's with a lot of sort of young players and groups that they can get on a roll, which is what he's done and this group's done really well. So that's a big positive, and there's no real pressure on them to win, and I think there is pressure on the Hawks. They need to stay in touch of the top 4, and you don't know on the day what will happen, and like you mentioned, I think if we're able to limit the supply into their forwards, and also our forwards do the job on their sort of, I think their strength is certainly in the back half. That
the intercept players,
and it's just about bringing that pressure as well. And I was very critical of Constanti. I think you and I both maybe thought that his time was limited, but I thought on the weekend maybe I'm understanding what type of role he's bringing, and it's a name that is synonymous with North fans, but it's almost as if he's playing the Kane Turner role, but in a way that's like I think the internal expectation is he goes out and brings pressure, and I hope that he continues to work on scoreboard pressure for us. But I think when he's up and about, he leads the way with that sort of pressure stakes. A lot of the other guys in the forward half follow. So it's about bringing pressure and bringing intent from the first bounce. And I think Clarkson will probably touch on the fact that we were able to bully Carlton in the last game of the season. They squashed us like a cigarette butt, really. So we want to be physical. We want to have that sort of presence again. And they might not see it coming. They might not expect it. So that level of effort and pressure and intensity should be the expectation every week from this group now, even if they aren't able to get the job done.
What do you make of the team change now? Will Dawson comes in for Charlie Commons straight side. I found it an interesting change only because I don't think we need another tall against their mid-sized small forwards. I would have gone. I don't even know if we don't have many mid-sized defenders in the reserves at the moment. Jackson Archer, unfortunately, has a hamstring. He's a test for this week. So if he played a full game, he probably would have come in this week. I think he definitely would have come in. But unfortunately, he's not 100% fit. So maybe they just want to see Will Dawson. Are you happy with that change?
I thought it was a bit strange that you mentioned the potential rain as well. And bringing another tall was a little bit of a head scratcher for me. Surprised Finbar Maley's not getting a look, Dean. And I know the forward line looks really good and it's settled. But he had another really good game on the weekend. And I'm starting to genuinely feel sorry for Will Phillips as well, because he can't quite be doing much more. Band's just banging down the door. I'd really like to see him before the end of the year. He's another one there. I know Clarkson probably wants to get stability and consistency and get the group playing together. But yeah, I'm really excited to see what Will Dawson can do, but I'm not sure whether or not we needed another tall looking at Hawthorn's forward line as well. I am worried about what the Smalls might do to us. But in saying that, do you think we'll see Eddie Ford again this year playing as a backman? Will they give him a chance to showcase his skills at AFL level?
He's 2 or 3 weeks away. You probably have to think he would at least have another 2 or 3 weeks. They might, depending the last month of the season and where they're at. I mean, if we're winning games and doing pretty well, then probably he misses out. But I think his future's in jeopardy at the football club. To be honest with you, I think his best chance of having a football career somewhere else. For him personally, I just think we've got too many of that same sort of player, half forward. I think he's the best 22 player, no doubt about that talent-wise. But, we just got too many half forwards and forward pocket like Paul Curtis, Zerha, Larky, Sheasel there now. You can't squeeze them all in, unfortunately. So he misses out. Even Zane Duursma's missing out at the moment. But I was thinking maybe Cooper Harvey could have come in as a rebounding defender this week. That probably would have been a good opportunity. He's emergency, so he's a possibility come in. But outside of that, I don't think we had many other options. I know Riley Hardiman's on the interchange bench. He gives good drive off the half-back line, like we've talked about. But, I thought we would have needed another smallish, mid-sized defender, and Cooper Harvey might have been that option this week. But unfortunately, didn't get that opportunity. But Jack Darling is a test, so there's 50-50 chance that he might miss. And guess who's the first emergency here, Siobhan?
Callum Coleman-Jones.
I'll tell you what, his form since he's come back has been quite solid.
I agree. And
22 touches last week.
It'd be a great story to see him come back. And I truly think that he will be playing in the AFL before the season's out, and partly because he's out of contract at the end of the year. So it's very important they probably trial him. But I've been really impressed with what he's been doing in the VFL, and good luck to him. Big man coming back from an Achilles injury. It's significant enough. We've seen with Josh Goda what it can do ongoingly for a player's, not only their confidence, but I guess their physical sort of condition. And he's come back and he's really hasn't put a foot wrong. So he deserves a spot in the side if Darling, certainly if Darling doesn't get up. But I also think Jack Darling, I don't think you take offence to this, but I think sooner rather than later he'll probably have a rest, if not just due to his kind of age and all that sort of stuff. So I think CCJ is a good option going forward for us. And it's nice to have options, Dean. It's nice to be talking about team changes not being because players are undroppable because of their name and all of that. It's nice that players are playing well and they're just not able to get into the side. This is what we want to see. And also, I've been very big on having a strong VFL side that supports your AFL side. And the fact that they're fourth on the ladder and are doing quite well is a testament to, I think, where we're headed as a football club as well. I know some people don't care about that, but I think when you're rebuilding as a group, your VFL team are playing well. It's just good for the club overall.
No, they look pretty good. They've got about 15 key position players, so as soon as the ball hits the ground in the VFL, they're pretty slow to react. And look, they'll probably finish 7th or 8th or something like that. They got Box Hill this week, so who are on top of the ladder, so that'll be a big challenge for them. We'll see how we go with that. But Cooper Trembath looks pretty good in the VFL, playing in the back line. So that's really good to see. So a lot to like as far as depth. Zane Duursma's, we talked about him last week, but it's a bit of depth if there is injuries, and he certainly has a lot of class in that VFL team. So see how we go. Will Phillips, we could always play. He's a VFL player, a permanent VFL player at the moment. So but that's a bit disappointing for him anyway. Probably similar to Eddie Ford. You'd have to think he won't be at the club next year. Just going through some injuries. So Charlie Comben is obviously out with the shoulder. Aidan Corr still 3 weeks away. Eddie Ford 2 to 3 weeks away. Josh Goda, you said he was on the track the other day. I refuse to believe that I've seen anything outside of an AI-generated person there. He's 2 or 3 weeks away, so something's got. There is signs of life, so there is a pulse beaten, so that's good to hear. Darcy Tucker obviously out for the year. Luke Urquhart test. Jackson Archer test. We mentioned him earlier that he probably would have come in this week if he was fit. And Jack Darling, they're going to leave right till the last minute. So if he can't get up, then your man, CCJ, will get that opportunity this week, you'd have to think. So, that's, we sort of talked about last week. If you don't have that many injuries, then generally speaking, you're always going to be competitive, aren't you, Siobhan?
Absolutely, and I think that's the really good thing that's happened to our group this year is that the limited amount of injuries that we've had as a group has allowed for competition for spots and consistency in performance, and our boys playing together to build a really great brand together, which is what we're seeing. And this second half of the year has been nothing short of very impressive, and a lack of injuries helped that a lot. Just really hoping that we can see Jackson Archer back out there sooner rather than later as well, because I think he's probably a missing piece of the puzzle. And I hate to say this, Dean, but I think that Aiden Corr's definitely going to be being kept out of the side, even if he is back. I really think that Toby Pink's role in the side has been phenomenal. So we look settled. We look good. We look really good.
Oh, look, even if you're Stephen Silvani at his peak, you wouldn't get back in the team ahead of Toby Pink right now. That's how well he's going. So yeah, he's turned into the greatest fullback of all time. Toby Pink at the moment. Anyway, now I started a thing a couple of weeks ago where I'll go through players that are crossed from other clubs that we're playing against this week. So I found 10 players, Siobhan, that have crossed from Hawthorn to North Melbourne. Oh, this is probably in the last 30 or 40 years. So I'll go through each of them. You probably weren't even born when half of these players were playing. So, yeah, we'll go through them anyway. So Liam Shields, 288 career games at 33 for North. Now part of our recruiting team on a full-time basis. Probably wouldn't have won many games at North compared to Hawthorn. Billy Hartung, I don't know if you remember him. Yeah. Holds the all-time beat test record in the AFL Combine. So I think it was like something ridiculous, like 16 or something like that. Very fit player. 76 career games and 13 for North in 1 year, which was 2018. He's only 30 years old now. Yeah. Jed Anderson.
Jed Anderson. I didn't realise that Billy Hartung was so young when he finished up from footy.
Yeah, I think it was only 23, 24, something like that, so pretty young. Jed Anderson, 99 career games, 89 with North Melbourne. Came third in our best and fairest in 2020, sure.
Looks like he was the best thing since sliced bread for a little while there, and then unfortunately kind of fell off with us.
Yeah. Oh, look, I think it was at that stage where we started drafting all these midfielders, and he was just getting further and further down the pecking order. Nathan Thompson, 179 career games, 60 for North Melbourne with 135 goals. Probably remember for his double Cobra celebration, kicking the winning goal against the Pies in 2005. Was a very good footballer. Unfortunately, tore his ACL at the start of the 2007 season, and I think he was delisted a year later. I don't know if you remember much about Tomo. You would have been pretty young.
I know I remember him a little bit, Dean, but not enough to suggest that I could reel off some of his best games of his career.
Fair enough. Jonathan Hay, this was a disaster. 157 games and only 8 for North Melbourne in a short career. Most noted for battling mental health issues and a drug addiction to painkillers, which was quite sad. Doing some good things in life as far as mental health and giving back, which is always good to see.
Yep.
Lance Piccioni, 77 AFL games and 15 for North Melbourne in one season in 2005. He suffered some serious mental health issues as well after his football career, and had a couple of attempts at his own life in 2010, 2011. So he's come around full circle now. He's doing some good things, which is good to hear. So, you probably would remember Lance Piccioni. Had big guns, Siobhan. Yeah. There was a picture when he got picked up in the preseason by North Melbourne. He was he was doing bicep curls with I think it was Shane Harvey at the time.
Shane Harvey.
Or Brett Harvey. Might have even been Brett Harvey. So that's how big he was. He was a unit. John Barnett, you would never remember him. He played in the 90s. Only played 6 games for North Melbourne. 8 games for Collingwood after he left North. Skinny left footer in the mid-90s. He came to North via a trade from Hawthorn. Jade Rawlings. Only played 3 games. Probably most noted for, we did a trade with the Bulldogs who were just trying to salary dump him. His knees were shot, so they gave us their pick 42 in the draft, which we selected Andrew Swallow, and we gave him pick 45. So that worked out pretty well in the end.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Will Serakowski never played a game for Hawthorn and played 7 games for North. A good rebound defender from memory, Siobhan.
Will
No,
Sarah?
that's
Yes.
Will. You remember this next one, the last one. I've got Daniel Howe. Uh,
Yeah.
11 games for North Melbourne in one season, 107 AFL games. So there's a bit of a
And
history lesson for
in
you.
the Freo game that nearly cost us the game.
Oh yeah, he played that game, didn't he? We won. Yeah,
Yes.
well we won. So yeah, he was. He's the one that kicked it deliberately out of bounds, wasn't it?
Yes, and lucky the siren went not too long before the ball bounced out.
I don't. In his defence, I don't think he was. It was a shank of a kick, so I don't think he was actually trying to do it deliberately, Siobhan.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Yeah, and we got AFLW player Eliza Shannon who came from Hawthorn.
Did you mention Josh Gibson, Dean?
I'll just talk about players that came to our club, not players who left, gone to Hawthorn. So, yeah, Josh Gibson, David Hale, a couple
A couple.
players. Anthony Rock as well, I remember after he left North Melbourne. A 1996 Premiership player. He went across to Hawthorn. I think they've had a few that have gone from... They've had more success getting our players than we've had getting theirs.
I think yes.
Yeah, we owe one, Siobhan. We owe one this week. So
You win some, you lose some, Dean.
nah, that's right. Exactly, 100%. So in saying all this and all the retribution and payback we're going to give to the Hawks, what's your final prediction for the game?
Look, Dean, I'd love to be as confident as I was last week to say that we're going to take the win, which I think I said 11 points. So I wasn't far off. Or I might have been 1 or 2 12 or 13, I think I said. I wasn't far away, but I wish I'd love to have that same optimism. But I think the Hawks will get the job done by a couple of goals. I'll say 3 or 4 goals in the end. But I do think that we'll be very competitive, and it's actually going to be a really good game of footy to watch. And looking forward to Big X, I think, having a big day, just looking at the matchup for him and celebrating that contract extension as well. Big game for Nick Larkey for mine as well, where there's a few players that I think will want to show up and do the club proud on the weekend. But I do think Hawthorn will just be a little bit too classy and a little bit too good, especially playing in their fortress in Launceston. So the Hawks for mine, but a good performance from our boys.
We're pretty spot on with the predictions last week. I think you said North by 16 points. I said North by 12. What do we win by 11? So, yeah, hopefully, I'm going to say North by 7 points, like 2021 Siobhan. So, we'll get them this week. But it will be a tough matchup, that's for sure. They're pretty good in Launceston, and they almost look like a better team without James Sicily in that back line. With Weddle going back there, they seem to have found something. But it will definitely be a big challenge. But I think we're up for it. I agree with you. I think it would probably be 2 or 3 goals Hawthorn's way. They'll probably just be a bit too classy for us. But I don't think we'll be disgraced. And that's probably another way we've come forward from last year, where we lost them by 124 points, where we look like a shambles.
Yeah, absolutely. I do think there are a few litmus tests that are coming up for us, and this is one of them. And look, I don't expect anyone will expect us to go out and beat them, but I would be really disappointed in the group if they went out there and kind of, let's be for real, or disgrace themselves like they did in the last round of last year. I don't think that'll happen, and I'm looking forward to another. Let's just say another. Even if they made it 100-point turnaround, it's even better than the performance on Good Friday when we played the Blues again. So looking forward to a little bit of retribution, I think, after that horror show in round 24 last year.
Now, have you got a potential match winner for this weekend?
Yeah, look, it's an interesting.
Who did you say last week? I can't remember.
I think I mentioned, who did I say?
Was it a forward?
I think I mentioned.
No, you mentioned. Did you say Toby Pink?
I think I did.
Yeah. Oh, there you go.
That one, but that was a pretty good one from me. So hopefully, I'm right again.
Nice.
I'm right again this week. That I'll go Nick Larkey. I think it's a really big week for him. I think stopping Battle and Barras is a really, considering there's no Sicily down there, is a key sort of matchup in terms of getting on top of Hawthorn. And he's been okay without really turning things around fully. And I think we haven't called on him too much this year, but I'll call on him this week to stand up and kick a bag and really try and wheel the team over the line. He's getting there, and I think being physical and aggressive is going to be a good thing for him this week. He's been working really hard up the ground, and that's a really important key attribute that he has. But I think this week we need him, and it'll be a big game for him on either Barras or Battle.
No, I like it. I like it a lot. Yeah, no, I think, look, it's good. Yeah, like you said, if he gets some good supply up the ground, we don't want them intercepting everything. You did battle second half against Wiedering. I thought Wiedering was going to have his leg amputated with Jack Darling at quarter time. He was hobbling pretty badly, and then all of a sudden he just turned into All-Australian Wiedering again, which was a little bit unfortunate, but on our end. But yeah, look, hopefully at least he can provide a contest and bring the ball to ground. And if he can do that, our pressure generally in the forward 50 has been pretty good in the last few weeks. So, but he's due for a big game too, I think. So, yeah.
What about?
I said Cameron Zurhaar last week. What did he kick? He kicked 3? I think he kicked 3, didn't he? I'll go Paul Curtis this week. I think he'll kick 4+. So, I'll go, someone a little bit different. But
no matchup for him, or he's due?
He's just due. Who would play on him? Battle, Barras. Maybe Battle might play on him. I don't think Impey or Morrison or anything like that, or Amon would play on him. But yeah, you never know. Maybe Waddell. I don't know, or Impey, maybe. But he'll be too good. If he's on his game, he kicked 2 goals 3 last week. If he's on his game, then he's as good as anyone in the competition.
I agree.
As good as any mid-sized forward. So we'll see how we go anyway. But Siobhan, it's been a very positive podcast. I could get used to this. I think we all hate being negative and questioning where the club's going. But the signs are certainly pointing up. I really appreciate you coming on after a win. Hopefully you can come on next week after another win.
What an awesome feeling it's been. I'm still riding the wave of momentum. I think some of the listeners know, obviously, I'm in a household with a Mad Blue supporting dad, and I had to get through the Good Friday game with him, and I was nearly in tears the last quarter, and there's a part of me, the little sadistic part, that felt really good in almost having the script completely flipped when it came to the game on the weekend. So it's been a good week, and I'm really, really proud of the boys, and hopefully we can continue this good vein of form. And it's nice to be positive, and like you said, no one ever wants to come on here and be negative, but we haven't had a lot to smile about for 5+ years. And that crazy stat about leading at 3/4 time, I mean, we have been through a lot as a supporter group, and hopefully the tide's turning, and let's all just believe that it has and see where we go.
No, definitely. I forgot to mention, Ross came in with a comment earlier. So he said, Powell is like LDU. When the confidence is flying, they seem to start finding space and maximise damage with the ball. Yeah, look, I mean, like anyone in life, when you're confident, you've got a lot of belief in yourself, and you feel like you belong, and you turn into a different player. And maybe it's just taking him a few years, but long may continue his great form. Thanks for coming in there, Ross. So thanks for coming on, Siobhan. I'll chat to you next week.
My pleasure, Dean. Absolutely. Go Roos.
Thank you to all your listeners as well. I'll be back either Sunday or Monday to review our win against the Hawks, hopefully. But give a thumbs up, subscribe, leave a comment, tell your mates and whoever about it. That's it from me and Siobhan. Bye for now, and go Roos.